So Lawrence Lanoff caused quite a stir with his post.
Yeah, but that's exciting.
It was very exciting, a little controversy, and his post was basically saying that a woman can never cheat. He doesn't believe in, possession and monogamy, and that you should give anyone dominion over your body.
He didn't approach it in a way that it was comprehensive.
But I think it started a dialogue, and I think that's the point.
Yeah,
cheating.
people wanted to kill him.
Well, because we're so focused on cheating. And I think it boils down to is we don't negotiate our relationships and we don't negotiate our sex lives.
For the most part. Yeah, it's all done, in our dreamland.
We just assume things.
Well, it's all based on the false conception of romantic love. If you fall in love, you don't even want to have sex with anyone else. Ha ha.
Well, love and sex are also two different things.
Totally different. I totally agree. Yes. Ain't the same thing. So, he says that the woman owns her own vulva, and therefore...
she can do with it what she pleases.
Well, the same thing is true with a man. He owns his own penis. He can do with it what he wants. Now, if you're in a relationship, whoa! That's what set everybody off.
But we don't talk about it. We don't sit down in our relationships and talk about it. And in the beginning, we want to be monogamous. It's hot and heavy.
It's an assumption. Absolutely. Oh, I met this fabulous guy, and we're dating now. And, of course, she's assuming that he's not going to want to look at another woman. And we've all been through this. You're dating someone, you're crazy about him, and you're out at a party somewhere, and he's sizing some other woman up, and you want to kill him. Why?
So for me, I'd be sizing her up too. I'd be like,
well, but now that's your, we're sluts and that we're different.
I also think it's when you get to a point where you feel independent in your sexuality so that you're not threatened in those situations. I remember in my 20s feeling jealous.
Oh.
But jealousy is something you can work out of your relationships when you connect to your own body and you have independent orgasms.
If you're having independent orgasms. And that goes for both the guy and the girl.
And I feel like that supports relationships. Because then when you choose to be with someone, you're there and you're not going to have those petty arguments.
I had a wonderful email from this woman who was talking about they're in their 60s and they've really embraced masturbation in their partnership. And what a joy it is. How much fun.
To share it.
Yes. And because you're sharing the fact that, look, I'm a complete whole person in and of myself, and I can have my own orgasms, and we can share them, and we can share our private orgasms. So it's like there's so much freedom in sex if we would just open up and have a conversation. It seems to be asking too much in romantic America.
Well, we feel like when it comes to sex and love, it's like take your hands off the steering wheel and somehow the car will drive itself, like it's instinct. And it's not, we've all... you're with a partner, they do something you don't like, or they don't do something that you do like, and we're paralyzed to talk about it, and then that builds up, and you're having bad sex, and eventually you're going to stray. I mean, that's just kind of there.
I remember going through this rehearsing, and I talked about it before, where I was dating this guy, and when he did manual sex, he started off fine, and then he'd get excited, and it would be too
hard.
Too much.
Yeah.
And so what I just kept my mouth shut and suffer and try to squirm out from under, instead of just saying, honey, please. So when I rehearsed, I looked in the mirror, honey, please, darling, really, I love the way you blah, 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 but if you could just lighten up with the clit stem. And finally, when I opened up my mouth, they're doing it too hard,
Because it built up. Because we can't say it in the moment. We can't find the words in the moment.
And it was like I hit him over the head with a club.
And I feel like when you are sexually complete in yourself, you can find the words in the moment.
Yes.
Because it doesn't come from a place of you're relying on them for your orgasm, so now you're pissed
off.
You
always start off with a compliment. Mm-hmm. I love the way you do oral sex. I love the way you blah, blah, blah. Now, if you would just lighten up with your manual, I would be in total heaven.
And if we could talk about monogamy the same way.
Yeah.
Which we can't because we don't want to hurt each other's feelings.
So instead, we end up killing each other.
Exactly. And I think that's why Lawrence's post struck a chord with a lot of people and got a lot of people upset with the feeling of being cheated on. But, if
It's a loaded word. It really is. Stray or a non-monogamy or some other word. But maybe he wanted to get that kind of a response. But it was really vitriolic.
it struck a chord. So, speaking of dominion over your own body, we have dates for our summer workshops. They're going to be May 30th and 31st, June 20th and 21st, and July 11th and 12th.
Will that
So,
go up on the screen?
Yes, that will go on the screen.
Perfect.
Send us an email if you want to come and have some independent orgasms with us.
That's the whole point, is women and men having their own independent orgasms so that it isn't always connected to your partner, which creates a dependency, and then that dependency will lead to anger, which will lead to cheating.
Yes.
So you wrap that one up, kid.